Welcome, everyone. It's
Hi,
always
girl.
nice to be around people versus just alone, per se. But so here are the slides. This is not really meant to be a lecture. This is really meant more for a discussion. So I hope that you entertain the discussion, and I hope that you plan to participate during the discussion. So I think everyone can see my slide.
Yes.
All right, so just so I could know who's in the room and everybody could just see who's here, maybe we could quickly just your first name, where are you right now, meaning city or state or country, and then one fun fact just to make it lively. And then what would you like to get out of today's little talk?
Okay, my name is Juan Camilo Montoya. I'm from Colombia and I run a social business.
I gotta just get you on there.
Okay.
What, baby? Okay.
Next person.
This is Linda. Oh, go ahead. Can you get me on Zoom? This is Linda from Skinny Teas. I'm in Birmingham, Michigan. We're sitting here still shipping. And a fun fact, I don't know a fun fact today. I'm cooking and delivering food to people. That's a fun fact. We're trying to get my computer going so I can see everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any bacon downstairs?
Go ahead, next person.
Mom may have bought some like turkey sausage that's downstairs or one of them.
Are you just going? Are you going person by whoever just jumps in?
Just jumps in. Yeah, I don't want to call your name by
Okay.
name.
All right.
We only budgeted 8 minutes for this.
Maybe let everyone know to mute themselves while they're not talking.
I am muting them as they are not talking.
Yeah, we're
Turn the music off.
There you go.
There you go.
Awesome. So I'm Brooke.
Okay.
Where am I now? I'm in my house. Did not realize the video was going to pop up when it did, and so I turned it off because I'm in my robe with my kids, and that's a fun fact. Fun fact. Wow. I am home with my two young children and homeschooling them, or whatever we want to call that right now. And I guess business-wise, I was mandated to close on Monday and shifted my business into an online business by Tuesday at midnight. And I have never worked so much in my life, and it's been incredible. But one thing I want to get out of today is I've been so focused on my own business revenue and kind of turning that around. I've had a really, really hard time carving out time to sift through all of the potential opportunities for relief. What I shifted over to isn't something that's going to make as much revenue as, at least for now, as what I normally had. So I just want to understand all the different options for my business and for my employees. I'm also wanting to help them navigate and having a hard time with that. Just a lot of information coming at us at once, and some of it is probably really incredible, and some of it is maybe not as incredible, and I just don't know how to tell which is which.
I got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Robert. Can you hear me?
Yep, very clear, Robert.
Hi, I'm at home right now, but tonight I get to drive up to Cadillac and work the emergency room for the next 7 days.
Oh, wow.
So I'll let you know what's going on front line after the next 24 hours.
Okay.
Our business is still open. We're still doing ultrasounds in the physician offices. We've only had 2 offices that have shut down and gone to complete remote telemedicine.
Okay.
One thing I want to find out today is I think I sent you an email about the state grants or the federal grants for how do we apply to that.
Yep.
And maybe you can come up with a presentation on helping us understand it. I went to click on and it's just paper after paper after paper. It's hard to understand.
Yep, I got it. Thank you.
Hi, Faris, this is Ojas. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so I am here at my store in Clawson, Michigan. And we are, of course, closed right now, but there's nobody here. And this is my work zone. It's only 10 minutes from home. So I prefer working from here every day on different projects that I'm preparing myself for. Fun fact about me, I did my first video over the weekend on Facebook and Instagram, and I got a few sales from that.
Oh.
So I'm a little pumped about that and got to do that more. And then one thing I want to get out of today is we are a by appointment retail space in Clawson. We're very small. We just launched a few months ago. So this is really hitting us hard right now. So wondering what in Oakland County and Michigan resources that are out there for small retailers like myself.
Yep, thank you. We just have to speed up, guys, because I budgeted about 8 to 10 minutes for this, and we're about that border time.
Township, Michigan, manufacturing, somebody's shaving or something. And real quick on the light, I want some of that turkey sausage I heard about.
I think that was Dave. We'll get to that. Okay.
Good morning, I'm Karen. I'm located in Detroit, Michigan. Like Brooke, I am home taking care of my daughter and working remotely during this time. We own a construction company based in Detroit. And one thing I want to get out of today's session is really with regard to the grants and loans and trying to find out what's available. I feel like there's been just a flood of emails coming through from our suppliers and every outreach or educational resource that's been out there, and it's just been overwhelming. And so just trying to get down to the nitty gritty of what we know.
Karen?
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel. I am in Redford, Michigan. A fun fact is that we actually moved into our home office in January. And at the time, it was just so we could regroup and figure out where we wanted to go next. And now we are just so grateful to be already set up for a home-based business during all of this. And what I'm looking to get out of today's discussion is just how to be a resource to my clients. So we're in the bookkeeping and accounting space. And so just gathering as much information as possible to be a resource to our clients.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Maria Saifuddin. I am in West Bloomfield, Michigan. One thing I want to get out of today's discussion was that we were in the midst of in-person events to generate business. Mm-hmm. And now that that has stopped, any suggestions that you may have on how to keep on pursuing that? And the proposals that we had in, everybody is now holding off on until they can figure out what they want to do next. So how to tackle all of that.
So this is Sherry McDaniel, and I am in Livonia, Michigan, HR consulting. I have been working day and night, all night, helping my employers to kind of work out the details of the workforce, figure out everybody's getting some safety plans in place, which is kind of a good thing right now. But I do foresee a substantial fall down in my business once everybody finalizes all the substantial layoffs that are happening. So I'm looking forward to understanding kind of how to sustain my business after the big fall down, which I know is going to occur.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Who goes?
Hi, everyone. I'm going to be really quick. This is Ashley Johnson. I am working out of my home. I own a CPA firm, so I deal with lots of small business owners, and I'm really just here to figure out how I can help them because they have been severely affected by all the shutdowns, have restaurants and beauty shops, all that stuff, and they have no idea what to do. So I'm really hoping to be a resource to them.
Okay.
Hi, cohort 16. Seems like a lot of you are here. I'm so happy. This is Michelle with the Glass Academy. We are a fun, loving glass studio. No one needs their product right now, so we're trying to stay really on top of it by doing something silly or not creating a glass coronavirus and making some sales that way. We put it out there just as something we were doing. People seem to want it, so maybe that's the way we can sustain ourselves for a little bit. But I am completely overwhelmed by how to apply for grants and all that jazz.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jamie with Yogashala. I'm in Dearborn. I closed my studio last Sunday, and I feel like I've been working harder than ever navigating the online, like transitioning to virtual yoga. It's been really nice to connect to my community that way, and people seem to need yoga these days, so that's been nice, but it's definitely not as much revenue as I've been bringing in for in-person classes. So I am interested in grants, and I'm also having a hard time navigating that.
Okay,
So hoping to get a little bit more information.
Cool. I think we have a few more, but if are we all well set? Anyone wants to go?
I'm Julie. I'm in Howell, Michigan right now at home, and my business closed last Wednesday. I own a child care center. We closed last Wednesday when the first positive news came through of coronavirus in our county. And I've figured out this morning how much money I am losing every single day so that I can hopefully project how much money I will need to get as a loan or use on credit cards or what I'm going to do in the meantime. And I've looked at SBA loan, and I spent about an hour and a half on it, and I got feels like almost nowhere. And so I'm just trying to kind of sort out, while I'm loving being at home with my family, my husband's also self-employed, and he's doing lots of home projects. And so there's lots of productivity happening in our home, and I have lots of kids. So everybody's doing their homework and doing what they're supposed to.
Okay.
And I'm loving my time, but I'm also in a free fall that I don't really know for sure what it looks like and what it looked like to get out of it. So I'm hoping to get out of the call some ideas about what lines of credit from a bank. How do you get, I mean, do I have a chance of spending all that energy on the SBA loan? What?
Okay. Cool.
I haven't watched news for 2 days, so I don't even know where we're at. And so I'm just looking forward to hearing where everybody else is at and what they're doing, and kind of giving myself some education just based on all of our small business minds.
Okay, thank you. We have a few more people, and we should be wrapped up to start next.
Ferris. So go ahead. Ferris, hi, it's Gary. I just saw our power was out here. Sorry, I was signing on late. Hey, everyone. Gary Schoniger here, Cleveland, Ohio. A fun fact about me that no one really knows. Is that what we're answering right now, Ferris?
Yes.
Let's see. Boy, that one really took me for a loop. I was, for one evening, I was the bodyguard to Morgan Freeman.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Thank you.
So what I want to get out of today's discussion is just connect with people around the world and maybe add some ideas about how we can all work together to get through this.
Thank you. You have 3 more people, maybe we can finish them. Yeah. And we're gonna start.
Hi, my name is Nate. I'm located in Royal Oak, Michigan, and was able to sneak in a little Mexico trip right before all this went down, and then I'm just hoping to get some ideas from other business owners on how to prepare ourselves for what's happening in the environment.
Thank you. All right, so let's go to the next slide. I think there are people logging in and logging off. So go ahead.
Yeah, this is Fadi from Saudi Arabia. How are you, Faris?
Fine. How are you, Fadi? Thanks for logging in.
Yeah, sure. I am from Saudi Arabia, and I've very much interested to listen to you and other people experience. I didn't have a chance to discuss with anybody outside of Saudi Arabia. So it will be a good chance for me to understand how everybody is trying to overcome this time.
Yep. Thank you for joining. I know
Thanks a
you're
lot.
in complete lockdown right now, so thanks for joining.
Good. Yes, sir.
All right. We're gonna just so you can see like what we're gonna talk about. Here's just a quick agenda I put together, but we don't have to follow it at all. It's just so we could make sure we're on the same track. We'll talk a little bit about insights about how you could handle this speed bump. And then we'll have it's an open discussion. We'll talk about some resources and how to leverage them. And then we could talk about maybe another opportunity to do this call daily, weekly, whatever you guys, weekly, monthly, whatever you think it's appropriate to support whoever's here. I also got a lot of people who said that they couldn't join it, so they wanted us to stream it live on Facebook, and I'm still learning how to do that. Maybe next one will be live. I'm recording it, so hopefully I could stream it later. But for now, we'll just start with what we got. That's the agenda. So one thing I will say, I mean, you're all leaders and entrepreneurs, and I think you already figuring it out. So I think that's the key. Is just try to figure out how to do business now. Looks like, as we all know, this is going to go on for a while. Looking at this, who's moving things, I'm going to mute you. I see things happening. Oops. No. All right. So you're all figuring it out, and I think you'll continue to figure it out. Just looking at what's happening around the world, it seems like we're on progression about a week behind San Francisco and New York. So if this is the trend, we're looking at 6 more weeks, right? We already know that, so we don't need to worry about it at this point. But we do need to worry about how we're gonna, sustain it over the next 6 weeks. And looking at the globe and seeing what's happening, it looks like, somewhere between March to February till now is still going. So we're looking at maybe 2 to 3 months total. And there are some talks about maybe July before things go back to normal, or whatever that means. I think, as you already been doing, figuring out what to do with what you got is the key. And that's what we're gonna wanna focus on, how to really sustain what you already got going on, some form or shape. So with that being said, there are a few things I've learned just because I've lived through a couple of wars, and this to me feels like more like a war than really anything else, just of the way things are shutting down and how they're controlling your movements. Not necessarily that it is a war, but it feels like a war. And with that being said, there are a few things I learned from living through a couple of wars and running a few businesses during the wars. So I put some bullet points that you could see right now. The first one is, before you act on any information, make sure that you verify the information, because there'll be lots of people right now putting out information that's not necessarily true and validated by anyone. They're just panicking, and because of the panic, people start putting out information that they think or believe that is true. So just verify any information that you receive from any source and make sure that it's really legit. The second one is, and I think you all do this already, worry about what you can control. There are things you cannot control. You can't control that the government is shutting things down. You can't control that. You can't control that people can't go anywhere. But you can control how you react to it. You can't control how you go about doing business. You can't control how you could shift things around. And these are the things I feel like you could really start controlling right away. And then the next step for the plan would be is, yes, acknowledge that there is some big problem happening, right? Whatever you want to call it. You can freak out. It's okay. Just don't act on the freaking out of part of it, because, if you said, a few weeks ago, let's do this online, most all of us would have said, no way, let's meet. Or most all of us would have said, let's, grab a coffee or something. we are all figuring it out. And I think one of the things I learned living through a couple of these scenarios in the past is you have to really adapt pretty fast. Look at the situation, assess it day by day. You can't really plan it for a month or two. You got to plan it day by day, and you're going to have to just roll with the punches. If you see it coming from the top, go lower. If you, whatever's happening, just adjust. And you all are good at that already. So just be aware of it, that you're good at it, and acknowledge it. And then control your panic. Don't let it control you, because it's easy to, go through the motions and watch the news all day long. My recommendation would be watch how much you watch the news, because what are you getting out of it? It's good to be aware and informed, but it's not good to be living it. So that's kind of like a few things. Once you plan that, you have to do, and I heard it already on the phone for many of you guys or through the call, leverage what you already have, and and think about what you can control with what you have. All of you on the call today, knowing, I don't know every single one, because there are a few people on the call that I don't know, but most everyone on the call, you really have a lot of things going on, and you could really leverage the network that you have, leverage the people that you know, leverage the communities that you live in, leverage the people that you already have working for you or working with you. Not necessarily in the same way that you wanted to leverage them before. So maybe they were shipping things before for you, or they were doing things. Now you have to ask, can I utilize them in any other way? Can they help me in any other way? And now get your head to work, right? Try to figure it out. So kind of like what Jamie said, she's making some revenue, but it's not the revenue that she was on. So now how do I adjust with that, right? And many of you mentioned similar scenarios. So think about how you could do that. Next, I'm going to talk about just, you got to live back your entrepreneurship mindset. Yeah. You're going to go back and living, looking at the scenarios, the problem, the solutions, how you could come up with it. And just, maybe the exceptions are daily, and now it's the normal scenario to be normal dealing with this every day. So how do you do business today is a little bit different, and how you do business tomorrow is going to change. If we get more restrictions about movement, that's going to also change how we do business. And some of us are considered essential businesses, some of us considered luxury. You have to figure out where do you fit with that, and then make changes as you see it fit for that day. And you could adjust it as you go. I'll also say just use sense of humor, because right now is really tough. And if you keep hard on yourself as well as your people, you're just gonna stress yourself out for no good reason. We're all in this. There's not one person that is not in it per se. So have sense of humor. You just have a little bit of fun with it. I know it's hard, but if you don't laugh about it, you will just choke yourself for no good reasons. And we all know that this is, no matter how long it lasts, it's going to end at one point. So the question is, can I survive till it ends, right? That's really what you want to figure out. And then you're going to have to do what we all love to do, talk about numbers. Start with, assess. I know I have two callers here that would love to talk about that. The rest might want to choke me right now. I see hands coming through the cameras wanting to kill me. But you got to talk about numbers. Talk about, how much have you lost? And a couple of you already starting to figure this out, right? I don't have to tell you this. You're already figuring it out. How much are you losing? Can you replace this loss in a daily or weekly manner? And if not, what do you need to do to keep this rolling at a minimum, right? That's what you want to think about. So it's not necessarily what you want to hear, but it's necessarily what you need to know, right? So, write down what's the burn rate number. How much are you burning daily? How much are you burning weekly? How much are you burning monthly? So if I came to you today and say, hey, how much do you need this month to pay all your bills for the business? And whatever that number is, whether it's 1,000, 10,000, 1 million, it doesn't really matter. You just be aware of what it is, because then that could start helping you figure it out. And then what is included in that burn rate? Does it include rent, payroll, program operations, anything else? Can you eliminate some of it? Can you move some of it out? Do you need all this space? Do you need all these resources? Think about that, okay? I think everybody knows the GA, the M&S, the COGS, and taxes and interest. These are some of the numbers you might want to just think through. What are your cost of goods sold? What is your general administration fees, meaning rent, phones, technology? What are some of your marketing and selling? Can you reallocate it differently? And then, of course, make sure that you are saving some money for your taxes and your interest if you have any loans. And that's, after that, you got to start dealing with, how much do I have now in the bank that keeps this burn rate going? And if you do have some money in the bank, can you stretch it? Can you make some phone calls to your suppliers, your bankers, anyone else, and stretch the payments plan? So if you're making a loan payment, can you make half of it now? Can they give you a break for the next few months? Think about all these things that you can do right now with that. And then think about how can you stretch the money that you already have now. And if you don't have it, how much do I need to get to keep this going in cash? The cash is going to be king these days, and I'm sure I got 2 callers here that would love that. Cash is going to be king, so preserve the cash. That's going to be my one big insight. Preserve the cash, and watch out if you have a line of credit. I said this to a few people. With others, if you have line of credit, you think about, I can't tell you what to do because I don't know every scenario, but think about, can you maximize the line of credit right now, and then think about stretching that so you could have that kind of cash, right? Because we don't know how long this is going to last. And then, of course, although everybody's going to be different on that, I'm just saying, think about it. And can you reallocate the staff before you let go of anyone? Because when things go back to normal, you don't want to be struggling to get back to normal pretty fast. You want to keep what you have if you can, and see if you could reallocate them to do different things. That's pretty much it. I'm going to stop because, I think there are lots of smart people on this call that I would love to hear what some of the things that you've been doing that maybe could be shared with others. And think about, I did hear about the grants and how to deal with the grants and some of these government paperwork. There are things that you want to make sure that you have before you apply that will make things a little bit easier. And I think one of them is making sure that you have all your tax returns, at least from 2018 and before, for 3 years on hand before you start applying, because these are usually what they will ask you for, 3 years of tax return, or at least the information of it. They will ask you to release it for them anyway. And then, of course, you have to be focused and uninterrupted to really know how to deal with these forms, because they're very complex, most of them. And most of them going to want to know like your personal debt as well as your business debt. And if you could do some of the stuff that we just talked about now, it'll become a little bit easier. But there are also resources such as SBDC in Oakland County, the one-stop shop that could help you virtually. And I think they're getting set up to help virtually, as well as SCORE getting set up to help virtually to do that. But also the network that you have, many of them have applied through some of this stuff. So this will be a personal call. This is the time to make calls. This is the time to connect with people, whether it's phone or via Zoom or something else, to figure things out. I'll stop, and then I put a list of small resource list. Every day I'm getting more resources, but I did include employment resources to people to help their employees. Before you let go of your people, think about how you're gonna help them overcome this 3 to 6, 3 months that they might be living through, and think about that, can they come back and help you, or can they help you now in a different way before you do that? But there is one resource for that, which is the first one. And then there are a bunch of resources about, where you could get some more solid information about what's going on versus what you might hear. The last thing I'm going to say, you all lived this before. You've started something without nothing. You grew it somehow. You adjusted to the scenarios that's happening, and now you watch it for a while to grow. And now this photo might repeat itself on a daily basis. It's not maybe what you want to be aware of, but it's not what you want to live, but it's might want to be aware of, so you could at least know how to sustain it. You're going to have to throw some seeds again on the ground. You're going to have to water it a little bit at a time, and you're going to have to watch the scenario of what's going on and adjust as things change or move or modify. I'll stop. Discussions, any other thoughts, ideas? I'm hoping that some of these things could help.
Paris, can you speak
Thank
to?
you. I appreciate. To me, it does feel like war, but in a different way. I'm glad we're not blowing up and it's bringing community together. And thank you for your insight. I think we'll live past it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I told a couple of my friends that called me, they said, this feels like war. The only thing is the good news, I could go outside and not have a bomb or someone shooting at me. So, that's the good news. Also, the better news that today we have better technology than we ever had before to do some things. And even the best news of all, the network that all of us have today is probably better than we ever had before at any given time. So, when I lived through those wars before, the one thing that came really quickly vital for us to survive is really the network that you have to know what's going on and to know how to sell things or when to sell it and how to go about it. And that's what you have today, right? You all are a network of each other, whether it's from this call or any other call that you've been on and any other program you've participated in. And the key is to really leverage that as you continue to do business. It's not going to be the same, right? You're not going to go back to the shop and open it, but it's going to be different and you could figure it out. You have figured out things before. You could figure it out.
Ferris, can
Yes.
you speak to the difference between grants and loans? I'm feeling a little bitter about loans right now because I know they're low interest, but I kind of want the low interest loans to go to the big guys and the bailouts to come to us little guys.
Yeah.
So I know I might need to just get over it. But the other question for me, so there's that piece, which I know a lot of us are wondering about. I heard Jamie ask that as well, kind of sifting through our options. The other question for me is I'm having a hard time figuring out my burn rate right now because I am about 35% membership based, and my memberships are auto renew, and I have only had 2 people cancel, and they have replaced their April membership with donation, which is really beautiful. But come April 1st, when everyone is charged, they're very aware that they're going to be charged. They haven't canceled, consciously, but it's possible that my expected burn rate that I come up with right now is going to be very different after April 1st if more people cancel. So I just don't know what I need right now because it just will depend on how many more people cancel and if they do.
Well, so I want to differentiate revenue versus burn rate. Burn rate is what you're spending and revenue is what you're bringing in. So what you're bringing in might change, but do you know how much do you have to spend every month to keep?
Right. Okay. Yes. So that's what I meant. I'm working on what I'm spending. I'm working with all of my bills, my landlord, everything on that. So that's not clarified yet, but obviously my revenue is it could so vastly shift depending on if people cancel, and it just will depend on, if it's announced that we're going to be here for, it just depends on how long. Like, are they going to be charged? How many times is their monthly payment going to be charged without being provided the service? And how much do they each individually have to be able to do that? I don't know. So I guess I just don't know what I need. So I don't want to apply for things that I don't need, but I also know that I need something. I want a grant versus a loan, of course.
My one insight would be is when you don't need something is when you need it. And people, as you all know, people only give you money when you don't need it. The minute they know that you do need money, no one wants to give you that money.
Right.
So my suggestion, although I am also the same anti, loans, at one point, meaning that first think about what you could do with what you got. And then if you do need loan, it has to make sense. This is the time you might want to think a little bit differently. Of course, you want to always think about how you're going to pay it back, but know that this is a temporary scenario, no matter how long it lasts. And I've seen all the reports, right? From the 18 months to the 3 months to the 3 weeks, whatever the scenario is, it's going to end at one point. So the question is, how can you figure out what your burn rate now forget what your revenue is today, and then see how much money you have in the bank to say, how much can I sustain this without having to stress about revenue coming in? And then if you start recovering some of the revenue, then that's great. And then you can start figuring out how else can you make money. But I want to open it for others to speak.
Yeah.
Ferris, can I jump in here? I wanted to like pose maybe a different way to think about this.
Great.
Because we don't know if this is going to last 3 months or 9 months or 2 years.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I just found something while we were on the call, like Fauci is saying, like, you know, at least another few weeks at the very least. But I'm also talking to like family members who are, you know, MD, PhD biologists working at the epicenter of this that are saying, you know, there's no roadmap here. So I don't want to do anything to like, you know, I love your comments at the beginning that were like manage your fear. That's like number one, get a grip, like figure out what you can change and what you can't, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I think we all need to remember that we are entrepreneurs. And I've spent the last 20 years like deconstructing the entrepreneurial mindset. And for those of you, you know, others on the call, you know, that's how I met Ferris, that I was interviewing entrepreneurs all around the United States for a project for Cisco, the Cisco Entrepreneur Institute in San Jose. But what I've been studying is underdog entrepreneurs. I'm not really interested in Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs. I'm really interested in how people that have, you know, no particular advantage in life other than the way they think. And at the end of the day, what entrepreneurship is all about is figuring out how to make yourself useful to other humans. And I think that's what we all need to be focused on at this moment in time. What is our core business about? And how can we shift that? What resources do we have that we can start making ourselves useful to other humans? I mean, to me, that just is the way to be thinking about this. I mean, that is entrepreneurship. I mean, a lot of people don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
But part of what came out of my research at Cisco was, you know, the recipe for failure is try to do something that just makes money for you. And the recipe for success is figure out what other people need and find a way to get it to them.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to propose that sort of alternative way of thinking about how we go about this.
Great. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to say something?
Okay,
Yeah,
I
Linda.
would.
Yeah,
Can you
Linda.
hear me? Okay. I agree with what you're saying. We have to make lemonade out of this and help other people and work together as a community. And I know someone posted on Facebook last Sunday, anybody going to Costco? I need something desperately, some drug over the counter for my son. I said, no problem, I'll go get it. Screenshot me a thing. Okay, she screenshot it to me. I said, okay, I'll go drop it off on your porch. She was in Washington, okay? I sent it to her in Washington.
Wow.
She literally posted the most wonderful thing on Facebook, which we're getting orders from, and it is all about that. And I didn't think of this. My friend from Tom Holzer Ford in Novi, Michigan is doing Holzer Bingo. I said, I'm copying this. We're doing Skinny Teas Bingo. You fill it out, you're going to get a prize. But it's like, do a carry out from a restaurant and give us a slip. It's all feel good things, right? Write 6 gratitudes. And we're going to give like Amazon cards or something. And I think if we do this and people see it and we're all helping each other, it works. I mean, we're still doing business here because I do online business, but I heard the state's closing us down later on today or tomorrow. I will still come over here, don't tell, and I'll be the only one working. And we're doing a segment for Good Morning America on small businesses with this virus. Deals and steals. I might be shipping all by myself here. I probably will be. I mean, And I can't even, my girls do everything. So I don't even know what I'm going to do, but we're going to make lemonade here. We're going to make it work. And I think we all help each other and we help our community. And the community to me is the world. The world. Help the world. I don't care where you are. I'm going to send you whatever you need if I can.
Hey, Ferris.
That's my shot.
Hey, Ferris.
Yes.
This is Dave.
Hey, Dave, how are you? Go ahead.
Good. I think really what would be helpful over here, over the next, just from a practical side of standpoint from the next few weeks here is, as the government comes out with their programs and seeing what's in that package, which is not really clear right now, is really just to come up with, if somebody like you can be looking at some of the packages that are coming out, as well as all these SBA loans, and try to, I'll say, rank them in the order of what is the most beneficial for a small business owner to the least beneficial from a cost standpoint. What's free, what's not free, employees, are there ways to take advantage of some of the things that are out there as far as, you know, some of the funding that's being out there where if they're laid off, I guess you don't get charged for it. There's just so many moving pieces to, I'll call it that whole government side of things, that if you just sort of rank them, if you were able to pull some of that stuff together, or if people were to share that information. So we just know what's in from, I'll call least cost to the most cost, and how we can take advantage of these programs would be very beneficial.
Yeah, so I will say this, David, the challenge with that is depending on which city you're in, there are all kinds of different programs are being launched. So as an example, if you're in Detroit today, TechTown Detroit is giving $5,000 grants for businesses that are less than 10 employees. And they have a whole categories for that. And they could probably give up to 250 businesses that $5,000 grant. It will be a grant, no payback. If you are in, you know, in a different county like Oakland County, or a different country, like you have people, you know, a couple of people from overseas, it really just, you have to look at the resources. And then the second thing would be so the way I would rank them really quick would be the federal money, the local money first, then the state money, and then the federal money. And the reason for that, because you're going to get more support locally on your business, and then statewide, and then federal wise. Although it's more money from the federal, there are going to be lots of people competing for that, and their hoops going to be a little bit more harder than if you went to the city or to the state where you live in specifically. The second thing is, because you're in your case, you're a technology base, you know, you will have different grants than someone who's having a storefront, or someone that's having something, you know, restaurant. So I think this will be, you know, one-off calls, which I'm happy to do, of course, to support you through that. So I made a small list here really fast based on the region, but globally there are also other things happening, from US aid to European Commission to everything else in between. So we just have to assess each one by itself. It's hard to just put a big blanket. The first big blanket I would say, look at your local resources first. So start, in your case, Dave, with Oakland County, right? The one-stop shop. Then to the state, which is MEDC, has some stuff that will be released April 1st. Then to the, you know, then to the federal, which is the SBA. And then I would encourage you, whatever you do, start organizing the information that you're submitting on your local drive, because most likely you're going to need it multiple times.
Okay.
So if you do create your, you know, if you need your tax return for 2018, 2017, 2016, go ahead and just create a folder and put all that information in that one folder, because you're going to use it multiple times over the next few months or a few weeks.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Anyone else? Anyone have already applied? The Detroit Small Business Fund, or the Michigan, the Michigan State has not released them yet, but the SBA, Disaster Loan Fund? I encourage you to look at it. In the past, I've applied for and gotten the Michigan Disaster Loan Fund with the 2012 flooding. And although it's complex, it's worth it, because at the time, I think they only charge like 3% or 3.75, and they could stretch it really low for like $100 a month not that you want to pay for the rest of your life, but if you need it, you need it. You know, so it was cheaper money than anywhere else you could get it. And my recommendation for those who were asking about banks and so on, most of the banks are right now, lobbies closed unless you make an appointment. So I would encourage you to leverage the connections that you have with the bankers that you already know to say, I need a loan. But you have to know these questions that I kind of like asked earlier, the burn rate, what revenue you're going to have, how you're going to come up with lost revenue, how you're going to replace it. You have to have a plan for that for them to give you money. Paulina, I see your hand, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I applied to the $5,000 grant fund that Techtown and had released a few days ago. So if you're a Detroit-based business, they said that their capacity to handle it is kind of on a first come, first serve basis based on the funds that they've raised. But I was monitoring it all day Friday for the application to come out. It's very simple, and I was one of the first people to apply. I've already been capitalized. I do have loans. I do have an SBA loan. I was able to consolidate like late last year a couple loans that I got from Michigan Women's Forward into a extended SBA loan. So I don't know if I'm even eligible at this point because I'm, capitalized. I don't know what the restrictions would be on to take more. I definitely don't want to take on more loans, which is why I had posed the question in the chat about, bankruptcy as a business. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the benefits are versus the pros and cons of staying in business to the point at which then it becomes a problem if things don't turn around. As a gallery owner, not only do we focus our revenue on artwork sales, which is a luxury, but we also host event rentals, which right now is totally on lockdown too. So I'm just not sure about the viability post crisis in terms of being able to bounce back sufficiently, and if it would be smarter rather than later kind of assess, at least come to the terms of what does bankruptcy for the business look like? What are the benefits if all of the other funding and everything else, doesn't pan out long term, which is not where I'm at right now, but I just want to have that information sooner than late, than coming up against it later.
Yeah, so I think to Gary's point earlier, before you go through that path, I think about all the resources that you have now. And I think if you first really quickly identify what's your bottom line burn rate, that's really the key. How much money do you need on a daily / weekly / monthly to stay afloat, right? It's not about getting to the end destination today. It's always about just staying afloat. So what's that number? And if you don't know that number, figure it out. And if you need help, I think many of us here will be happy to help. And then once you figure that number, then start thinking, how much money do I have in the bank today to sustain that number? And is there anything within that number that I could let go to keep it lower so that money could be stretched a little bit longer? And then start thinking about how can I start replacing some of the revenue I lost? Okay, I understand I'm losing 10 grand, 1 grand, $1 million, whatever that number is, a day, a month, a week. I got that part. Now I need to know what do I need to bring in every day to keep my burn rate going, assuming that you also calculate you getting some money to pay your own bills and some kind of capacity. If you don't need that, then you don't need that. But if you do have your own personal bills, you want to calculate, okay, I also need X dollars for me to get paid so I could pay all my personal bills so I don't lose my house and don't lose power. So think about that number, business-wise, personal-wise, and then start going after it. And it might be, unfortunately, increments, right? So you're back to starting from maybe some of you from scratch. Say, okay, this week I could maybe generate $100. Next week I could generate 1,000. How am I going to get to that 1,000? And gradually get to the level that you need to be burning the rate, to be bringing in what you're burning. But first figure out what is the burn rate, how much do you have today in the bank that keeps that, business going with that burn rate, and then start thinking about how can you modify what you got. I think that's kind of like what Gary was talking about, your mindset of staying focused on, okay, maybe you were solving some kind of other problem and now you come up with a different problem that you're solving, modified from what you've already been doing. And to Linda's point, figure out different ways because people are feeling, lonely in a way. They're all isolated. We're all suffering. It's not like one group of people. It's everybody now can't move, everybody. So find a way to leverage the relationships that you have that could bring some light to other people, because when you do make other people feel good, guess what happens? Usually it comes back to you. So
Right.
directly or indirectly. So, think about what you're doing today and how can be redone and redelivered and leveraged with someone else.
And I have also talked to both of my loan lenders. One of them, Michigan Women's Foundation, is on pause for 3 months. Another private loan is on pause for 6 months. So I have been actively reaching out and minimizing the expenses and, doing everything on that end as well.
Fantastic. So you're already doing it. That's what I'm saying. I think most people are already figuring it out. I think the key is to know that you already are figuring it out and just be aware of it, acknowledge it, be excited about it. It's not necessarily the exciting times, but you got to leverage, you got to celebrate the little, successes that you have daily, weekly, or monthly right now. Even though if it doesn't look like a success, it is a success that you're also all on the call, right? Just being on the call is a success. Just, you have to change your expectations because it's not normal scenario today. Caleb?
Hey Ferris, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Thanks for calling.
Good. Yeah, I've been in and out a little bit, so I don't know if this was covered or not. But something that I found really helpful is keeping open communication with my team. So I'm sending daily update videos at the end of every day, just letting people know what the management team has been up to, the different things that we're doing to try to pivot. Because one thing that I know is true is that in the absence of communication, people will write their own narrative, and you don't want your team writing their own narrative. So a lot of us are focused sort of internally on what do we got to do to keep our businesses afloat, but we can't forget that our teams are a critical component and they need to be sustained. They need to maintain their confidence level. And the easiest way to do that is to communicate with them openly and honestly on a regular basis, like every single day, so they know exactly where you're at as a business.
Yes. Thank you so much, Caleb. It's funny you say that because it's actually our next thing, which I just put it in the text. There's a nice article elaborating on what you just described that I found through one of my connections. And it's really all about keeping information float, being transparent as much as you can. Without scaring them, because there's some information, if you tell them, they might get scared. So you have to keep them, happy in a minute, but also be informed. Whether it's daily, weekly, one of the things that I remember many of the people who were living through this before having like a call in the morning, a call midday, and sometimes middle afternoon. You don't have to do one at the end of the day, but those 3 calls can help a lot to just keep your team engaged, especially the core team that you work with. So that's very helpful. Thank you for sharing that. This is it's the last 5 minutes, so I think we're right on the schedule of what we drafted. I just wanted to make this open for any other thoughts or ideas if anyone wants to share, or if you think this is helpful to do once a week, I'm happy to do that. If you feel like this is helpful to do every other day, I'm happy to do that. Whatever you feel is, relevant or important, I think we could do that on the chat or a follow-up email to bring that up. But this could be like a, just last, comments from anyone, or, anyone wants to say something.
Hi, Paris. I think I'm the only one from a Latin American country here.
I
don't
think
know how.
There are few of you.
Okay, because in Colombia right now we have everything closed for 3 more weeks until March 21st.
Yeah.
3 things that we've been working on is we basically put together all my teams and trying to figure out how the world is going to look like after this and how our model can adapt to it. So basically the question we are working on. Because as an entrepreneurs, we need to figure out how to be a step of the curve every time. I think something that can work out. The only thing that we did with employees is we're trying to pay them as much as we can, because I know it's tough for some small businesses, but at the same time, there's people who is trusting and relying on us, and that's the team that we will need in the future to help us to grow in the daily basis.
Okay.
It's going to be a good crisis, and I think monthly, weekly, it can help out because a lot of people is getting crazy.
Yeah,
Will
sure.
help.
I got a lot of people saying weekly, so this is a good time. We could just do this every Monday at 10 o'clock, and because it fits a lot of people around the world, from Saudi Arabia to Colombia to San Francisco. And
Ferris,
yes,
it's Gary. I just want to jump in and ask if it would be helpful. I'd be willing to do like a webinar dedicated to sort of the basic concepts of an entrepreneurial mindset, and how that might be beneficial. As I said, my interest is understanding how underdogs win.
Yep.
And I'd be willing, if the folks on this call are interested, I'd be willing to do a webinar specifically on that if there's an interest. Just putting that out
I
there.
see a bunch of heads nodding, and so I'm going to say that would be awesome, Gary. So you and I could work on the side to come up with a schedule and send it out to the group. That would be fantastic.
Okay, happy to do it.
Thank you so much. I see a bunch of chats also saying yes, and then I see a lot of nodding heads.
Okay, good, good. I mean, Ferris, the end of the day, this is Darwinian, right? It's not the smart, it's not the strong, it's the ones who are able to adapt that survive.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all boiling down to.
Yeah, I was watching the scroll, although it's not human, but scroll, looking at the post that we have feeding the birds, and I was really blown away. He looked at the post, he assessed it, he climbed it a little bit, then he looked at the tree, went to the tree, jumped from the tree to the post, and climbed backwards, so he could eat this food from the feeder. I was really blown away because initially we put a little bit of oil to have him slide. That worked for a minute. Then they figure out if they keep all going on it, it will, with a little bit of rain, it'll wash away. So with a minute, they went back on it. So we bought a plastic thing and we put it to cover it. So it's made for that. So the squirrel could go up and realize they can't climb. He jumped on it a couple of times, trying to jump from it to bounce on the bird feeder so he could catch the bird feeder just by bouncing back between the plastic and the feeder. He got successful once or twice. And when that failed, because I raised it up a little bit more higher, he used the tree, and the tree was about 5 feet far away from this thing. So he jumped from the tree, the branch tree, to it on the top and climbed down backwards. I was really thinking, this is so much of what we really have to do every day, right? Assess the situation, look at what's going on, and figure out, okay, how am I going to get that food in the table or sales on the table? And that's really, what we all could learn from that little scroll per se.
Yep.
Thank you all for joining. It's 11 o'clock. I want to respect everyone's time. And if you feel that we should do it longer, we can do that. But I felt like an hour is sufficient. And I'm lucky that we didn't get as many as, people wanting to, I'm glad that, we had the right number per se for a call that allows everyone to speak a little bit. And that's kind of nice to have. And then we could, next time we'll maybe broadcast it live on Facebook so others could comment and engage in the conversation. I did record this, so I'll send it to all of you so you could have it. I'm not sure if that's worth anything, but we'll do that.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. And of course,
Thank
if you
you.
need anything, feel free to call or text.
Thank you.
Ferris.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Ferris.
Thank you, Ferris.
Good day.
Thanks, Ferris.
Thank you.
The best.
I see if you're still here. do you want to talk further, or you feel like you're good? You want to chat, offline? I'm gonna stop recording.